Have you ever wondered what would happen if the United States suddenly vanished from the global stage? What if its economic aid, military protection, and political backing disappeared overnight? How many countries would collapse into chaos, lose their defenses, or face economic ruin? Today, we're diving into 10 countries that literally can't survive without the USA. And the truth might shock you. These aren't just struggling nations. We're talking about key global players, some of the most powerful and politically sensitive countries in the world. Before we get into this eye-opening list, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification. And as you're watching, drop a comment below. Which country do you think depends most on the US? And what would happen if that support ended? Let's get the conversation going. Our first stop takes us to the Middle East, to a nation that's been called America's most reliable ally in the region, Israel. Israel, a small but powerful nation in the Middle East that relies heavily on the U.S. for its defense and survival. The U.S. provides Israel with $3.8 billion annually in military aid, helping maintain advanced defense systems like the Iron Dome, which protects against rocket attacks. This relationship isn't just financial. Israel serves as America's key ally in a volatile region, countering rivals like Iran and ensuring U.S. strategic influence in the Middle East. If the U.S. withdrew its support, Israel's military capabilities would be severely impacted, leaving it vulnerable to hostile neighbors and potentially destabilizing the entire region. The U.S.-Israeli relationship is undeniably complex. From the Middle East, we shift our focus to East Asia, to a nation that's risen from the ashes of war to become an economic powerhouse, South Korea. South Korea is another nation that owes much of its security and stability to the United States. Since the Korean War, the U.S. has been South Korea's strongest ally, with 28,000 American troops stationed there as a deterrent against North Korea. Beyond military support, the U.S. is also a crucial trade partner for South Korea's tech and automotive industries. This partnership serves American interests as well, helping to contain China's growing influence in the Pacific. If the U.S. pulled its support, South Korea would face significant security challenges, potentially emboldening North Korea to act aggressively, which could lead to renewed conflict on the peninsula. The two nations have a shared commitment to democratic values and a free market economy. We turn our attention now to a nation that has long been a key player in global energy market and a crucial, if often controversial, ally of the United States, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia represents another nation that heavily depends on the U.S., particularly for security. This relationship is rooted in oil and geopolitics. The U.S. has long relied on Saudi Arabia as a major oil supplier and a counterbalance to Iran's influence in the region. In exchange, the U.S. provides Saudi Arabia with advanced weaponry and military support. This partnership also helps stabilize global oil markets, a critical factor for the world economy. Without U.S. support, Saudi Arabia would struggle to defend itself against regional threats, and global energy markets could face severe disruptions, driving up oil prices and triggering economic instability worldwide. However, the U.S.-Saudi relationship has come under increasing scrutiny in recent years as critics point to Saudi Arabia's human rights abuses and its role in the Yemen war. These concerns have led to calls for the U.S. to reassess its relationship with the kingdom and adopt a more principled approach to its foreign policy in the region. Our next stop takes us to a nation that was once America's sworn enemy, but which has since become one of its staunchest allies, Japan. Japan has a deep reliance on the United States, particularly for defense. After World War II, Japan adopted a pacifist constitution, relying on the U.S. for military protection. Today, tens of thousands of American troops are stationed in Japan, acting as a shield against threats from North Korea and China. In return, Japan provides key military bases for the U.S. in the Pacific and is a critical trade partner. If the U.S. withdrew, Japan would need to rapidly rebuild its military, a controversial and destabilizing move in the region, leaving it vulnerable to growing Chinese aggression and regional tensions. Both countries are committed to democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. Next, we travel to Egypt, one of the most populous countries in the Arab world, is another nation that heavily relies on U.S. support. Since the 1978 Camp David Accords, the U.S. has provided Egypt with $1.3 billion annually in military aid and substantial economic assistance. This partnership helps Egypt maintain regional stability, secure the Suez Canal, a critical global trade route, and combat terrorism. For the U.S., supporting Egypt ensures a balance of power in the Middle East and fosters peace between Egypt and Israel. Without American support, Egypt could face political and economic instability, jeopardizing regional security and disrupting global trade through the Suez Canal. We're halfway through the list, and if your jaw's already dropped, you're not alone. These international relationships are deeper and more fragile than most people realize. But I want to hear from you. Do you agree with the countries we've covered so far? Is there one you think we missed, or maybe one you believe isn't as dependent on the U.S. as it seems? Comment your thoughts down below. And if you're enjoying this breakdown of global power plays, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another video. Want to see a part 2? Or maybe a reverse list, countries America can't survive without? Let me know what you want next. Now we move to Taiwan, a small island with an outsized role in global politics. As the world's leading producer of semiconductors, essential components for smartphones, cars, and countless technologies, Taiwan is a linchpin of the global economy. However, Taiwan lives under constant threat from China, which views it as a breakaway province. While the U.S. doesn't officially recognize Taiwan as a country, it provides billions in military support to help defend against a potential Chinese invasion. If the U.S. stopped its aid, Taiwan's defense capabilities would crumble, and a Chinese takeover could disrupt global trade, creating an economic crisis far beyond the island itself. Please do not forget to like and subscribe if you're still watching, as it supports us. Let's continue. Our journey now takes us to Southeast Asia, to a nation with a long and complicated history with the United States Pakistan. Despite tensions over issues like harboring militant groups, Pakistan depends on American military and economic aid to maintain stability. Pakistan's strategic importance lies in its nuclear capabilities and its proximity to Afghanistan and India, making it a critical player in regional security. For the U.S., supporting Pakistan ensures access to intelligence and counterterrorism cooperation. If the U.S. stopped its aid, Pakistan's fragile economy could collapse, and its internal conflicts could spiral, creating a power vacuum that extremist groups might exploit. Our next stop takes us south of the border, to a nation whose destiny is inextricably intertwined with that of the United States-Mexico. The United States is Mexico's largest trading partner, with billions of dollars worth of goods crossing the border daily. The U.S. also provides security assistance to combat drug cartels and organized crime. In return, Mexico plays a crucial role in managing migration and securing the southern U.S. border. If the U.S. ended its support, Mexico's economy would suffer greatly, with the loss of trade and security cooperation leading to increased crime and migration pressures spilling over into the U.S. The U.S.-Mexico relationship has also been fraught with tension and disagreement. Despite these challenges, the U.S. and Mexico recognize the importance of cooperation and dialogue. Our journey now takes us across the Atlantic to a nation whose bond with the United States runs deep. Ukraine has become one of the most prominent examples of a country reliant on the United States, especially since Russia's invasion in 2022. The U.S. has provided billions of dollars in military and humanitarian aid, supplying advanced weaponry and training to help Ukraine resist Russian aggression. For the U.S., supporting Ukraine isn't just about aiding a smaller nation, it's about standing up to Russia and preserving democratic values in Europe. If the U.S. stopped its support, Ukraine's ability to defend itself would be severely weakened, potentially emboldening Russia to expand its influence further into Europe, threatening regional and global stability. Our final stop takes us to NATO allies in Eastern Europe, such as Poland and the Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. These countries heavily rely on the U.S. for their security, particularly against the threat of Russian aggression. As the leading member of NATO, the U.S. contributes the most funding, troops, and military equipment to the alliance. For nations bordering Russia, this support is a lifeline. If the U.S. scaled back its NATO involvement, these countries would be left vulnerable to Russian expansionism, potentially triggering conflicts that could destabilize Europe as a whole. And that brings us to the end of our journey. Ultimately, the world's reliance on the United States highlights the intricate web of alliances and dependencies that define modern geopolitics. While these partnerships bring mutual benefits, they also underscore how interconnected and fragile the global system can be. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analyses on global affairs. Let us know in the comments which country you think relies the most on U.S. support and why.